The VO meter, measuring your voiceover progress. Whether you're a veteran voice actor, just starting out, or don't even know how to set a level, we're here to help you avoid the pitfalls along your voiceover path to success. The VO meter is brought to you by Voice Actor Websites, Voice 123, Studio Bricks, Global Voice Acting Academy, JMC Demos, and Sennheiser. The VO meter is produced in part using Source Connect, made by source-elements.com. And now your hosts, Paul Stefano and Sean Daly.
Hi everybody, and welcome to episode 93 of the VO meter.
Measuring your voice-over progress.
We are live at VO Atlanta 2023. Woohoo!
And we are thrilled to be here. We're going to have a couple of guests come on in a few minutes. We're going to run this like a regular show, and I'm going to get this mic up to my face because we know we don't have this problem. And we'll do our VO meter reference levels, maybe a questionable gear purchase if anyone wants to chime in on that. But first, we're happy to introduce our first guest who's attending for the second time, I believe, third time-ish.
Well, if we count the digital one, then that...
2.5.
Yeah, 2.5.
Okay, very well. Please welcome Lee Goettl. Did I do that right?
Yeah, you did. Spot on. Awesome. Nobody gets it right the first time except you, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So tell us, how's the conference been for you so far?
Great. Second time has just been, if not better than the first. It's really been... the first one was such a shock to the system. And I've been in the business now for about 5 years doing audiobooks. And so last year there wasn't as in-depth or rich of an audiobook program. And this year Scott Brook took the reins and fleshed it out quite a bit more.
That guy's pretty good.
He's decent. He's got a few books under his belt. So, but he did a great job this year, and I went to a lot of the sessions that they had out there for that, and it's been fantastic. I've definitely learned a lot, and I definitely will have something that's going to improve my craft for sure. Craft, I said. Craft.
Sean, could you focus, please?
Hashtags are important.
Hashtag pay attention.
Hashtag moves. But anyways, so that's awesome. So happy to hear that. So what else have you been doing? Like, you've been doing any other breakout sessions, some other highlights for
Big highlight is one that I almost didn't make it to on the first day, on Thursday. Sean Alan Pratt had a X session.
Also pretty good.
He's decent, yeah. He's got that whole ginger thing going for him. So I had mistakenly thought it was Friday when that was taking place. And I went down to grab something to eat. The session was at noon, and it was 12:15. And I get an alarm on my watch saying, X session. So I did a nice sprint and ran into the room all sweaty and no notes or pen or pencil or anything. So I'm just, sitting there. But didn't really matter because everybody else also arrived late too. So
There's actually a lot of that going around. At least half of our guests showed up last night looking for us. And I feel bad because there was some scheduling changes. So I think it's people just having too much fun, which is a good thing.
And that's the thing. It's, after 5 o'clock, we don't talk what happens after 5 o'clock. So it's, but in all seriousness, the networking is such a huge part of this. And you meet so many different people in so many different avenues. It's, as a first timer, that's an even bigger shock to the system, I think. And this year, it's coming, and you actually now, instead of being somebody who absorbs that, where you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, it's good to meet you. It's good to meet you too. This year, you can seek out and be like, oh, hey, yeah, I've been here last year, let me tell you about the things you're doing this year that, are a lot of fun and all that jazz. So it's just, I don't know, this year, you don't know what you don't know, so now that I'm here, I know that there's just so much information that you can take in at one time. So pace yourself.
Exactly. It's a very common problem. I know a lot of people who are their first or even their second year will schedule all the X sessions.
Yeah.
Right? And then probably miss a couple things or wonder why they're hungry and angry at the end of the day.
And then miss a house payment too.
Because they may have been doing karaoke till midnight or 1 in the morning.
Maybe, but
Maybe.
Some people.
speaking of, I'm glad everyone has kept their voice that for the most part this weekend. If you remember our last recording in VO Atlanta several years ago, I lost my voice. It kind of sounded like this or something. I don't know.
Batman.
Kind of serial killer vibes now that I think about it. But anyways, so it's great. Anything else?
Stephen George, everybody.
Woohoo! Hey, this guy makes this conference. And shout out to all of the, to Steven and all the other staff who make this stuff happen. You guys don't get enough love and respect. So thank you.
Here, here. All right, so Lee, give us one parting piece of advice for someone who is listening to this, who hasn't been here but would like to come next year.
So take good notes, and remember, you can't see everything, so pace yourself.
Excellent advice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Lee. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Enjoy.
Lee.
Wisconsin
representative.
Or a low slow clap or something.
Yes, please.
I'm going from St. Clair. Reached out to me.
So next up, we have a first-timer. Is that correct? First-timer, Milena, and please pronounce your last name for me when you get on mic.
So we don't embarrass ourselves.
Yes.
Milena Tinoco.
Tinoco.
I made that sound way
That's
more
terrible.
way more deep than it
I don't
needed to
know
be.
what kind of podcast you think this is, but it's lovely to
I like it.
Like Milena Tinoco. Okay.
That's awesome. She's versatile, guys. So tell us, Milena, how has this been for you?
This has been overwhelming, but in the best way. I knew leading up to it, I had been warned by many, don't go in trying to do everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And take breaks when needed. And against everything that I normally do, I am an extroverted introvert. If someone starts talking to me, I'm like, all right, let's do this. And I'll usually just stay out, not nap, not take breaks, continue talking until I wear myself out. So I came in with a plan that a couple times a day I was going to just step away and take some time to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very proud of myself. I did that, and I still have my voice, and I feel good.
That's right. She's still perky on the last night. That's saying a lot. So, well, need to schedule the rest up.
I
it's
did
definitely
not
not easy.
karaoke until midnight. I was in bed at 10 o'clock last night like an old lady, so
That was
there
smart.
we go.
Yeah, all of us who were up till he kicked us out, basically, it's definitely a little worse for wear. But it's all part of the experience.
My choices.
So, what was your favorite session or workshop you did?
Oh my, do I have to pick a favorite? I feel like that's a
Have a
lot.
top
Can't
3.
decide.
That's a lot of pressure.
Maybe top 3 or 10.
Sure. So I decided to do one X session because I get really nervous reading in front of people. Of course, I've worked in isolation in my booth by myself with all this confidence all alone. So I decided to do the X session with Deb Monroe and Ellie Ray
Nice.
from Get Mic'd because I knew they were going to stretch me beyond what I normally do. And I really, really enjoyed their energy and also the balance that the two of them have. So that was a lot of fun. In terms of panels, I left the big voices panel, the promo panel, so energized. I had to take a break and not do something after that because I was on fire. I was like, maybe I could do promos. I don't know. I was so
Blast to
excited.
the roof on it.
I was so excited. Yeah, I was really excited. Just the panel of just incredible people speaking, every single one of them. I was just blown away to just be able to learn from all of them. And then my other favorite panel was Tina Morosco from Sound and Fury. Mm-hmm. She was amazing, the way that she presented how to give an authentic read for anyone who's just beginning all the way through working pros who just need to hone their skills. It was such a wonderful, practical presentation that I walked away from, and I actually had a couple Sound and Fury auditions to do, and I ran straight up to my room and applied all of it. So yeah, it's been a really great thing. And also, I'm bilingual. I speak Spanish. So I also stepped into some of the VO Atlanta Espanol panels, which was really nice. This morning they had the Los Latinos en qué. It was and what, a Q&A panel.
That one I know.
Which right? And okay, what? Which was really nice too to see it from the Latino perspective, the industry as well, and kind of learn, what the struggles and the challenges and the questions that the Latino side has, so that I can help other voice actors that are on that side of the industry industry as well. So it was really neat.
That's awesome, making yourself like kind of a bridge and support for that as well. It's almost like you got 2 conferences in one.
I did. If only I was also a kid, then I could get 3 in one and go to the kid part.
So about the Latino program, since you're a newcomer to the whole conference, how did you feel that was received and or treated? Because you may have heard in the opening ceremonies, somebody brought up that in the past, maybe there were some issues, and this year, JMC and Anna really wanted to welcome the community as much as possible. How did that come out in your mind?
Sure. For those that I've spoken to, they really felt a lot more like part of the community. It didn't feel so separated because, of course, now you've got they had their own keynote. There's their own, and it's all happening on the main stage as well. Everything didn't feel as separated, which was wonderful. And I tend to go toward, obviously my English is my primary language now. I learned Spanish first, raised by Colombian parents. Hablaba español como chiquita, but English, I lean more toward going to the VO Atlanta English side, and I really stretched myself to be on the Espanol side this time. And really the feedback that I got from all of them is that they really did feel very welcome and more a part of the conversation, which is really beautiful.
All right, wonderful. Well, anything else you want to share about this year, or maybe plans for what you're going to do with all of this wonderful knowledge and network connections?
Oh my goodness, I have so many notes that I took, and I have to say, within my first 30 minutes of being here, I was a little nervous about networking and how I was going to approach people or talk to people. And within the first 30 minutes, somebody approached me, we started talking, and I think just in that conversation alone, I could have gone home and been like, okay, I got so much wonderful information.
Yeah.
But I think the most surprising and beautiful thing is that every panelist, when they would come down from the stage, had time and made time to talk to everybody. You didn't feel like you were bothering them. There could be 10, 20 people waiting to speak with them, and you could have that time to get some one-on-one FaceTime and get a little nugget of knowledge from them. So, it's been a great experience.
Yeah, I think that's part of the culture, at least I hope it is. I think they cultivate that atmosphere, J. Michael and Anna, and they only invite people who they know will talk and be accessible, because otherwise it's not a good use of anyone's time, I don't think.
And
Absolutely.
That generous spirit is really infectious for the attendees, right? Because I've been talking to people too where it's just like, maybe I'm just a few years in or even less, but I'm realizing that I do know things that are helpful to other people, right? And that's great, and that's encouraging them to think of themselves as a potential resource to help others.
How can I give back? Exactly. And can I just say, Deborah Wilson. Oh my goodness. The keynote speaker. If anyone's listening to this, get the playback. You need to watch that every day, every morning. That should be what you listen to get ready for your day. She was just incredible. So,
Yeah, absolutely amazing. Well, Milena, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Where can people find you if they want to hire you as a voice actor?
oh yes, you can go to my website, Milena, Milena, voiceover.com. On Instagram, I'm at Milena Voiceover. On Facebook, facebook.com, Milena Voiceover, and LinkedIn, Milena Voiceover.
Wonderful.
That's me. Come find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Milena. You were an excellent guest.
Thank you, guys.
So we're efforting to have our remaining scheduled guests come on the show. They're not in the room at the moment. Do any of our studio audience want to come up on the mic and talk about their experience so far? If so, raise your hand or forever hold your peace.
Eric, come on.
Yeah, come on up.
Eric. You guys are great. It's really nice having you here.
Yeah, the energy is amazing.
There's like 500 people here, guys. It's incredible.
Standing room only.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
So, Eric Allison, tell us about
Eric
yourself.
Allison, that is right.
And how has your experience been so far?
My experience has been great. It's my first ever voiceover conference. It's also I haven't even had a working job yet. I'm recording my demos on the 29th when I get back on Wednesday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And speaking of following her giving back, I want to thank Sean Daly here. I reached out to him randomly. Sean, right here, sitting here with me. That's the gentleman right here. Sean is lovely enough. I found through a Site Jabber review, his name popped up. I found him on Facebook, and I messaged him, and he responded to me with a long thing with all kinds of feedback and information what to do. And it was very helpful, and he's actually one of the reasons I'm sitting here today. So I do want to thank you, Sean.
Well, you're very, very welcome. And
You're welcome.
I mean, like, I tend to overshare my knowledge and expertise, and I just love that I didn't scare you.
I also didn't know you were behind this podcast. Like, I didn't know this is what you did. You know, you were just a dude I reached out to. So I got lucky. Thank you.
It's all right. Most people don't know about the podcast.
Right.
But, no, that's awesome. And I'm always happy to... People know voiceover is my passion, and I love when to find other people who is a passion for them, and if I can help them on their path, I sure as hell will.
Right.
So you mentioned you haven't done a job yet. Are you planning on sticking with it, or have we scared you away?
I mean, no. I'm actually no. It's a very welcoming community. I've enjoyed it, and I'm actually fortunate enough. My sister lives in Asheville, North Carolina, and she came down with her family, so she's here in the audience too. So.
Oh, welcome.
So, yeah.
So what was your biggest takeaway, or what is your biggest takeaway being completely new to the business?
Sure. So far that it's a very welcoming community.
Do you have notes?
I don't, but I do have. I highlighted.
I mean, if you do, that's great.
The sessions I went to. So following up,
You're more prepared than we are. That's fantastic.
I had no idea who Deborah Wilson was, quite honestly, and she's from Mad TV. For anybody who doesn't know who she is, she was on Mad TV, and she's an actress, and she's moved on to this world. So she's very good, and I think what does she do now? The voice of Daisy Duck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's also Disney's Daisy.
Lots of video
Yeah,
games.
so she's a very well known woman, and she's very accomplished. So yeah, thank you to her. I'm trying to think of the sessions I went to. I went to a session that I found very interesting by a woman, Celia Siegel. Celia was very good. Apparently she makes websites, and she also helps brand people.
Yeah, Celia's great. She's been on the show several times.
Yeah. And Cliff Zellman, of course, he's great. Automotive. I sold cars from 2005 to 2009, so I know the industry. So I didn't even think of that as jobs. So that's something I'm going to look into as well. And I've been in the medical profession, so I'm also thinking like e-learnings for medical field.
Brilliant.
So,
Way to
yeah.
use your background experience, your foreground potential.
Yeah, right.
That's awesome.
So I have many things to think about doing. It's just a matter of getting there and making a website. And so don't ask me where to find me, but I am on Facebook and stuff. Just my name, though, Eric Allison. That's 2 L's, by the way.
Awesome. Well, that's great. I often encourage people. I mean, a lot of people wonder, like, oh, don't I have to be in the industry for a couple of years before I can take a conference like this? I'm like, no, I think this is a great way to expose yourself to the industry as a whole. And like,
Not literally. Not literally expose yourself.
yes, at least don't expose yourself.
Frowned upon.
To the industry as a whole. That's not the impression you want to make, unless you got some great assets. But anyways, but I think it's a great way for people to explore the various genres and low-risk environment and get to meet people and then decide not only if this is for them, but to begin making those focused choices on what areas do I think might be my strengths, what areas would be the best use of my time, right? So I think you're right where you need to be, and I'm curious, is there anything else that you want to share about your experience or maybe what you hope to do next?
I definitely hope to continue to go to experiences like this. This is the granddaddy of them all, and I didn't know that. I just live in New Orleans and saw Atlanta. I was like, I can drive there. And my sister lives close. I can visit her. So that was the impetus to come to this one. But then when I found out it's the big boy, I was like, oh, well, that's definitely one to go to. I'd like to do that. I do need to go through the process of creating a website and branding myself and all that. And that's all soon to come. I got to get the demos done first. And I did it the right way. I think I did it the right way. I went through a company. I got a curriculum done. I started in October. And now I'm finishing up Wednesday. It'll be my last day. I have one last session with my producer on Tuesday. And I had an engineer that, for my sound, my home sound studio to make sure that everything was to the right levels and set properly for that. So yeah, it's been a good experience, and I've somehow managed to do it the right way by accident.
You definitely didn't put the cart before the horse. I love that you got training, that you got your home studio set up, signed off, you're getting professionally made demos. Like, you're really doing everything in the right order, and I think when you're ready to put the shingle out,
right,
your chances for success are higher than they would be otherwise.
And now you've been on this show, the sky's the limit, believe me.
I know.
So much exposure.
I gotta find the podcast now.
All weekend.
All right. Hey, where do I find this podcast?
It's not out there. It'll be available soon. You can find the VO Mirror podcast at all of your podcatching apps, including Spotify, Audible, Podbean,
Google?
and a Google Podcast as well. Yeah.
Nice. I use Google.
There
Google
you go.
Pixel, by the way. Hey, send me money. Google Pixel.
Well, Eric, enjoy the rest of the festivities this evening, and thanks for being on
I
the show.
appreciate y'all's time. Thank you very much. Yep.
So while we wait for our other guests to arrive, I would like to encourage Lee to come back on the mic because we didn't give him a chance to promote himself. And once again, no better place to do that than right here on the VO Meter podcast. So Eric, how can people find you if they want to hire you?
Well,
sorry, Lee. How can people find you if they want to hire you?
Well, now I want Eric to tell people where they can reach me.
Hey, let live auditioning.
Right. I just want to make it known that I'll be hiring Eric for my PR work. But seriously, you could reach me at GoettLvoices.com. Now, the funny part is Goettl, Goettl, voices.com. And you can email me at leegoettlvoices@gmail.com.
All right, thank you, sir. Good
All right,
luck.
thank you guys.
So, Sean, while we're waiting for our other guests to arrive, hopefully, why don't we talk about our experience at VO Atlanta? Maybe some people would be interested in that.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So what's your favorite part so far?
Well, we had a couple of our guests talk about the amazing Deborah Wilson, and I didn't have too many. Woo! Yeah, you can clap. You guys are recording. Stop. No, you're fine. You're fine. You're great. But
Seriously, more.
More, yes, please, my ego. But anyways, she was phenomenal. She's just lightning and charisma in a bottle, just shaken up, and like it's incredible. And so she did a fabulous keynote speech, and I was kind of busy this weekend between the podcast and helping my buddy Jordan out in the exhibit hall. But I knew I wanted to see her as often as I could, so I went to the keynote. She did this really cool intimate Q&A session where it was just ask me anything. And what was really cool is that it was just her and like maybe 10 other talent. And a lot of them were very, very new, right? And so like you can see they're kind of like shaking, holding their notes and stuff like that. It was adorable. But anyways, she just like, they picked the person to have because like, hey, I see your fear, just shatter it. Like just punch their fear right in the throat. But anyways, she was just incredible and very generous. And one thing that I thought was cool, I'll try and paraphrase because I can't do the amazing vocal wizardry that she did in the moment, but she was explaining that you have to be willing to discover, play, and experiment, right? Because if you don't, for example, she got a potential job from her agent, where it's like, hey, Deborah, do you do dog voices? And she said if she had said no, if she had refused the opportunity, it would have cut off her career like far prematurely. But she said because she said yes, dog voices became demon voices, and demon voices became witch voices, and witch voices became baby voices, and baby voices became creature voices. So if anyone can watch the playback from that session,
That actually was a pretty good approximation of her cadence. That was pretty good.
that was really good. Okay, so I was channeling the
Yeah, exactly.
But that was probably my highlight from the conference, was just like being able to sit in and I've told people like this, we've been to these conferences as attendees and as podcasts and other sponsors, but so maybe like we're not just jumping into all the X sessions and stuff like that. But for me, this was a much more relaxed, more passive, but absorptive conference, right? My goal was to fill my cup, to reconnect with people I hadn't seen in years, and to connect with people who knew me online but had never met me. And everyone's just been so kind and inviting, and like my family and my fiance are asking, how is it? Is everything going all right? I was like, well, I feel pretty great because everyone just tells me how awesome I am and how good I look, so it's great.
I didn't do that.
Yeah, that's all right. You're not looking at me more often than you want to anyways. But what about you? What were your highlights?
Well, I'm in kind of a unique situation, as you know, but and probably our listeners too, because I've talked about it. I have never been to this conference without being part of the staff.
I know. I'm so glad you could take a break for once.
Yeah, this is, and I don't think I was fired, but maybe J. Michael or Anna can tell me. But no, honestly, they said we would like you to just focus on the podcast and do your thing, which is awesome, and I loved having that opportunity to do that. So I have never been to a full session of any kind at VO Atlanta because I would be able to go to some, and sometimes I would be manning the audio equipment at some and just stay there for the whole session, or most of the session, but I've never been through a whole session just as an attendee. So that was an epiphany and a revelation, and I was really happy to do that. Some of my favorites were Hugh Edwards' casting, online casting. No, it wasn't online casting. It was casting in general. His breakout, and because it was so simple, he actually said that the materials he was using in the presentation were freely available on Gravy for the Brain. And still, there were some revolutionary tips there about how to craft your auditions for every possible situation, whether it be from an agent, from a casting site, or someone just comes to your website as a walk-by and gives you a call or email. So that was pretty good. I really enjoyed Natasha Marchevka's session, also on online casting. You can see where my focus is going to be pretty soon, or where it has been recently. So I have been looking for tips on how to improve my online casting rate. I really enjoyed the online casting panel that that JMC hosted, because typically that has been the one that has the most fireworks, and this year did not disappoint either.
Oh, yeah.
There was what seemed to be some actual arguments going on, but everyone made up at the end. Paul Strickberda was having some words with Rolf on stage, Rolf Veldman from Voice 123. But then I think it was 5 minutes after that panel was done, I saw a picture on Facebook that Paul took of Rolf wearing a silly hat. So all was well in the VO world, as it normally is.
Well, that's great. I mean, occasionally we do talk about some hot button topics or even controversial things, but it's usually very diplomatic, and it always is. At least it has a happy ending. So I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, and then other than that, my favorite thing has always been the people and just meeting all the new people that have come into the business. And a lot of them, they're sitting right here in this room. Thank you for being on the show and being in our studio audience. And then what really have become lifelong friends, in some cases, people I only see here once a year. And once we get together, there's a big hug, and it's like no time has passed at all.
Exactly. I was just going to say that. It's been 3 to 5 years for a lot of these people, and you just pick right back up where you left off. Yeah,
I was outside with Scott Chambers last night on the patio, and I haven't seen him for 3 years, except for on Zoom. And I was making bad jokes and talking about how goofy he was, like I always do. And he's really mad about not being on the podcast, by the way. Kind of tongue-in-cheek, but also I think kind of for real. So we need to get him on the show as a featured guest.
Scott.
Yeah, Scott, it's coming. We'll give you an invitation as soon as we get back to the office/studio. So we are on Saturday night. There's still the festivities that are actually going on right now. You might have heard in the background there was some music going on. That's why we shut the door. But what are you still looking forward to, if anything?
Well, we've got the closing ceremonies tomorrow, the crowning of the Unicorn Grant recipient, and it's always we've got some amazing nominees for that this year, and I'm just really glad to see them getting the attention and the accolades that they deserve. Other than that, I'm just going to continue to chat with people, because that's been the highlight of this conference for me.
That's awesome. Hey, Paul's entered the room. Paul, we had a couple of cancellations. Do you have any interest in coming on the mic and telling us about your experience at the conference?
Oh my gosh, sure.
I'm just gonna put you right on the spot. Walk in the door, and that's what happens.
We'll give him a little introduction while he's getting ready. So up next we have Paul Vinger, who's actually a GVAA member. So he
sponsor of the podcast.
Conflict of interest.
Hey, didn't you hear Global Voice Acting Academy? It's one of our sponsors. Yeah, go ahead. Yes. So tell us about yourself, Paul.
Oh my God.
Don't worry, it's not an expensive mic.
Well, I was born a poor boy. No.
Your voiceover career.
Oh, you want me to start there? Longtime actor in New York, 15 years at least, dance, singing, all that business. And stopped to take a break to raise my son, and started in 2020 coaching with Paul Strickwerda, and then moved over to...
Pretty good. That guy's pretty good.
Recognize
Pretty good.
Paul's snarkasm. All of the pretty goods are exceptional coaches.
and also people who have been on the show, so that, yeah.
So they know his humor.
So I found, through Paul, found GVAA, worked with David, did my demos with him, and then started doing the workouts, and I met Sean, have a wonderful ongoing coaching relationship with
That guy's
Sean.
pretty good too.
They got my Uno boss? That's awesome.
And started auditioning, joined a couple of the pay-to-plays, Bidalgo, VO Planet, Voice 123, and this is my first ever voiceover conference, and I'm having a great time. And the one thing that really stands out to me, I might have mentioned this to you before, was that this was kind of a test case for me in that I keep hearing from everybody what a wonderful community this is, how giving and warm everybody is, and how everybody just wants everyone else to succeed. And I said, well, that sounds great.
And you're like, that can't be real, right? There's no way that's real. Yeah, I always had the same thought.
And none of it's true. No. And actually, I've found that to be completely true. And experiencing it firsthand is, well, it's experiencing it as opposed to hearing about it. And I sort of experienced it online, but experiencing it in person is a whole other story. It's been great.
Yeah, it's one of those intangibles that's difficult to articulate in the moment, but it's like afterwards, if you just want to be around people who will make you feel good about yourself, come to VO Atlanta. I don't know why I'm turning into Gandalf, but none shall pass. That's where we're going today.
I had a Frodo comment coming up, but I couldn't bring his voice up.
So, Paul, what are some of your highlights from the conference? Either just in general or a specific session. It can be anything comes to mind.
There are so many. The opening talk was just very moving, very, very touching, really spoke to me. I actually had a moment on the airplane where I became mortally afraid for a minute because we had quite a bit of turbulence. And whenever I have those moments, I just focus and think about my life and who I am, who I love, who I care about in the world, and feel that connection that I have with them and say, like, if this is my moment, that's what I want to go out thinking about, is my spirit, my whatever you want to call it, my being and whom I've connected with. And so I had that moment privately on the plane, and I've kind of had a similar connection. I felt a lot of connection while I was here, and that was enhanced by hearing the opening talk. And then there were so many moments of connection. I got to speak, do auditions, and everybody who I went in saying, oh gosh, I've seen this person online. I've heard their talk. I know they're a big name in the field. And then to meet them, to work with them, and say, this is a cool person who wants me to succeed. Mm-hmm. Every time I read, I had that experience, and that was wonderful. So I'm not giving you the one standout moment. I had that moment with, what was his name? Vic Adam, I think, is an audiobook person.
Oh, Vikas?
Vikas, yeah. He coached me a little bit for an audiobook reading I did, and he was so giving and gave me wonderful advice. Writer was a completely different experience, but again, the same feeling of encouragement. And then again, Scott Brick, again, was super encouraging when I did the audiobook thing, and then working with Larry, who I work with a lot outside. And it's just, so there are so many standout moments, I can't really focus on one.
That's kind of how it always is, yeah. I wasn't expecting you to narrow it down to one. I would have done the same thing. Actually, I did do the same thing before you came in.
But I like how, with the theme of connection and just the people themselves, right? The presenters and the attendees. Everyone is just, we were just talking about before you got here, the generosity of spirit is tangible and infectious here.
It is. And the constant messaging of what everybody really wants is you to be yourself. That really hits home as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you took good notes.
I hope so.
Anything else you want to add before we let you go?
No, thank you. Thanks
Well,
for putting me on the spot.
Tell us how people can find you if they want to hire you.
PaulVinger.com.
Spell it for me, please.
Vinger is like finger with a V. V like Victor, Inger.
All right. Paul, thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
So our guest, Eric, actually does want to promote himself. If we can, we'll just splice it in later.
Sure. Come on up. Come on down.
You edit this thing? Yes.
Oh, man.
I mean, it's going to be a nightmare, but it's good.
No, I just realized I didn't think at the time. I have an email address.
There you go.
Which is Eric D. Allison, E-R-I-C, D as in Donald, Allison, ALLISON.com. Oh, at gmail.com. So Eric D. Allison at gmail.com.
All right. Got it. So we are at a little over half an hour, and I hear music getting much louder in the background, and I want to go dance and maybe have a few adult beverages. So we're going to wrap here from VO Atlanta. Any closing comments, Sean?
Well, just like I said, it's however you decide to enjoy a conference experience like this, There's no wrong way. It's like Reese's, you know? There's no wrong way to enjoy a voiceover conference. But so whether you just want to take advantage of all the free breakout sessions, or maybe you really have a hardcore focus on a specific genre or a specific style of acting that you're trying to improve in, or maybe you're marketing, just have a plan but be flexible, you know? So again, you can't do this. There's no wrong way to do this.
Yeah, and I would say if you have any apprehension, don't. Just come, be yourself, and you will be surprised how welcoming everybody is. And if you find yourself not talking to anyone for more than 5 minutes, good chance someone will come talk to you. If not me or Sean, someone else that's a vet that's been around for a while, and welcome you into the community with open arms.
Exactly. All right. Well, thanks for listening to our pseudo-live recording of VO Atlanta 2023. This has been the VO Meter.
Measuring your voice over progress.
You'll hear us in the next one.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the VO Meter. To follow along, visit us at www.vometer.com.
We'd also love to hear your comments or suggestions for the show. Or if you have a questionable gear purchase, tell us all about it on our Facebook page or on Twitter @the VO Meter.